About bike packing. This is something I'm super curious about because my brother does this and is really obsessed with it. And so I understand that you've bike packed all over, and I'm really excited to have you here. But first of all, tell us your name and more information about yourself.
Yeah, hello, and thanks for the invitation. And my name is Toby, and I'm 19 years old, living in Switzerland. And yeah, right now I'm studying at university, but last year I did a long and big bikepacking trip. So yeah, that's why I'm here, I guess.
Wonderful. So tell me a little bit about bike packing. What exactly is that for people who don't know?
Yeah, bikepacking means traveling by bike, so it's kind of similar to traveling by car in a van, but you travel by bike, but carry all your luggage on your bike. So yeah, I think it's a really cool thing to travel by bicycle because like you feel your environment, you feel the weather and the wind, and it's just like the ideal speed for traveling, I guess.
And so why did you choose that instead of traveling in a van or a car or a different method?
Because first of all, it's super cheap. Like you just need a bicycle and yeah. And second, it's just like a super nice feeling to discover all these places like just on your own with your own muscle power. And yeah, it's also kind of an athletic challenge. So yeah, that's what I love about it.
Great. And how did you get the idea to start bike packing? I know not everybody has heard of that before.
Yeah, I think, or I guess it's more popular in Europe, I guess. But yeah, I just used to use my bicycle like every day to go to school and stuff. So yeah, I think the idea came from there.
Great. And yeah, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your journey. How did you decide where to go on your trip?
Like 2 or 3 years ago, I had to do a school project, like the last big project at high school, and there I visited all the 250 cities we have here in Switzerland and climbed the highest mountain in each district. There are like 26 districts, the districts in Switzerland. So I did that, and it was like super cool. So I thought like I want to do something similar again, just bigger. And I finished high school 1.5 years ago, and then I joined the military service because you have to in Switzerland. And then I knew that I have 10 months until the start of university. And I just wanted to fill these 10 months with something cool, like traveling and exploring, and also like the athletic challenge, as I said before. So yeah, I decided to do like kind of the same thing as I did already in Switzerland. So my goal was to visit every country in Europe. There are 44 countries, and my goal was to visit the capital city and the highest mountain in each country.
Wow, that's amazing. And what did your parents think about that when you told them this idea?
Yeah, I think it's kind of scary because I also did sleep outside. At first, I had a tent, but afterwards, just like a sleeping bag and a mattress, and like spending all the nights out there and also with the mountains and stuff. I guess it's kind of scary, but yeah, I'm really happy that I could do it.
Yeah, and what was it like when you first got started? Did you have any like fears or worries at the beginning?
Yeah, of course, like tons of fears, but not just at the beginning, like all the time. But yeah, it's kind of scary if you're just like alone out there and also sleeping alone like every night. And yeah, but it was also like emotional. Like I'm 19 years old, and there were times where there are just things you would prefer other than like cycling in the rain every day and sleeping on the floor somewhere. Um, Yeah, a big fear of mine were dogs, like wild dogs, in especially in Eastern Europe. I had many. But yeah, I think in the end, the fears are the thing that make such a project like really cool and adventurous.
Yeah, and so you mentioned you were worried about wild dogs. Tell me a little bit about your experience with that.
Like it was really my biggest fear, and at some part, like it started like in Romania, but then also in Turkey and Greece and all the Balkan states. There were like so many wild dogs every day, everywhere. Sometimes also at night. That was super scary because, as I said, I just had an inflatable mattress in the sleeping bag. So we are like really exposed. But yeah, I had dogs like every day, but I was always faster, except for once in Albania. There were like sheep herd dogs. They were huge, protecting the sheep, and they did run after me and also bite me, and it was like super scary and super painful.
Oh, man, so you had to mostly just ride your bike really fast to try to get away?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, that sounds frightening. So, what was it like just sleeping out with, your mattress and your sleeping bag without a tent? Did you have bugs or what was that like?
Like at first, I had a tent because I started in Switzerland in November, and then I went down to Spain and Portugal and Italy and came back home for Christmas. And I just realized that I don't really need the tent, so I decided to, yeah, just leave it at home. And without the tent, for me, it worked quite well actually, because you can protect yourself from the weather quite easily because my advantage was that I didn't sleep too much. Like I went sleeping at around midnight and left again like at 6 in the morning. So in between there, you can sleep basically everywhere. So sometimes I just slept in a bus stop or did some yeah, just places like this where it's dry. Um, and yeah, it's just adventurous if you sleep like directly under the endless sky of stars, and it's just so peaceful.
Yeah, and so where did you typically find places to, sleep?
I started looking on like on the map on Google Maps or something like that at some point in the evening. But very often it's just like random places that I saw from the road. And yeah, sometimes it was more easy and sometimes it was harder to find yeah, a place to sleep. But somehow it always worked out, and there are so many possibilities because if you don't have to set up your tent, it's like super easy. You just need, yeah, very little space on the ground. Yeah.
So does Europe have like campgrounds like you'd find in the US or public lands too? Can you camp in some of those?
Yeah, you can, but it costs not much, but it costs like every day. So I most of the time just did wild camp. I don't know if that's a thing in US as well, just camp anywhere. In many countries, it's actually not allowed. But I did it anyways because, yeah, I just went there at midnight and I left again at 6 in the morning. So the risk of being caught was very small, I guess. So yeah, but usually I did just wild camp.
Yeah, and I saw some of your photos were at, in the mountains and mountain peaks and stuff. Did you actually bike up there or would you leave your bike and hike to those destinations?
And like my goal was to climb the highest mountain in every country. So in the end, I had 44 mountains, and they are really, really different. Some of them are like really not even hills, like super flat and small. There you can, yeah, ride up your bicycle, and other ones, especially in the Alps, are yeah, really high. And there I just went up there on foot or climbing, but not with my like without my bike. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And so tell us a little bit about your equipment setup, the things that you would carry with you on your bike.
Yeah, like of course the goal was to go fast and light, so carry as little as possible, but as much as necessary. But yeah, I was like really limited because the space on your bike is really, yeah, you don't have much space, and you also have to carry everything on your own. So it's in your own interest to limit the weight and the volume of your package to a minimum. So yeah, I just had very basic stuff like clothing for everything between minus 20 degrees and up to 40 degrees. And because like I was in the north of Scandinavia in winter, there it was really, really cold, but also in Greece and Turkey in summer, there it was really hot. But yeah, in the end, you really don't need a lot of things like sleeping bag and the inflatable mattress. Some, yeah, like very few things to start like repair stuff on your bike. And yeah, but in the end, you don't need much.
So did you bring like certain cooking tools and supplies with you?
And no, actually not because it was kind of too heavy for me. So I just used to buy food in supermarkets, and once per day I went to a really cheap restaurant usually, but not because of the foods mainly, but more because of electricity. So I could charge like my phone and power bank and camera and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So, and you would bring just snacks on the road with you that didn't require cooking?
Yeah, yeah, like bread or whatever. And I did eat tons of sweets like chocolate and cookies. Yeah, like super much. But yeah.
Cool. And so how about the water? Where did you find your drinking water? Did you carry that with you? How did that work?
Yeah, I had bottles on the bicycle, but in Europe it's actually quite easy to find water, always depending on the country, of course, and on the weather. But in general, I had like a maximum of 2 liters with me usually, and that was totally enough to get to the next source of water.
Cool. And tell me a little bit about your route. Like, what types of terrain were you riding on and what was that like?
Like, I think the coolest or a really cool thing about my goal with the capital city and the highest mountain is that you automatically see like many things of a country because you have the urban regions around the capital city, but also like the wild like mountain regions, and that's really cool. So I started in Switzerland and went down to Spain and Portugal and Italy and came back home. And then I did like Great Britain and Ireland and everything there, Scotland. And then I went all the way up to the North Cape and then like through Eastern Europe down to Istanbul and from there back home again. So like yeah, it was kind of a mess on the map because there are so many countries and I tried to connect all of these, but yeah, it was like every day was different and I think that's a cool thing.
Yeah, so sometimes you're probably did you ride on like dirt roads and paved roads and the whole variety of situations?
Yeah, kind of. And sometimes yeah, even highways because there were not too many alternatives, but yeah, it was like yeah.
Yeah, what were some of your favorite places that you saw on this trip?
So many people are asking this question, and it's super hard to answer it. Because they're like it was 200 days, and I did an average of 200 kilometers per day, and it was just so intense because there was a mountain or a big city or just something special like every single day, and it's just so intense, and it's really, really hard to pick one favorite. But in the end, I always prefer mountains over cities. But that's just a personal thing, I guess. And yeah, in the end, like after 7 months and 44 countries, I came back home and I was like, actually, the most beautiful country is still Switzerland. But yeah, there were other countries that I really loved, like Norway or Scotland or also Albania, Spain, like tons of beautiful places.
Yeah, that sounds pretty amazing. Did you also see some coastal areas or did you miss those because you were going to the mountainous regions?
And I also had coastal areas like the sea, and at the beginning, it was like super special for me to ride along the sea because we don't have a sea in Switzerland. Um, but yeah, after a certain time where yeah, like you get kind of used to it and it gets kind of boring, but it's also nice to take a swim or yeah, just cool down in the sea. But yeah, definitely something I also had.
Were you able to like take showers on your journey or did you mostly like try to go swimming in different places? How did you deal with that?
Depending on country and time of the year. But I, I don't know if I should tell this, but the longest time without a shower was 10 days, I think. And that's really not nice. Um, but yeah, I tried to get a shower when I could, but it's like towards the end I found out how and where I could get a shower. But yeah, I was alone, so it it wasn't a big problem, I guess.
Didn't matter so much. So if someone does do this, what are some of your tips for finding a shower? Are there places people can go to get one?
Yeah, like campsites, for example. I mean, you don't have to sleep there if you don't want to, but you can use the infrastructure if you ask, or you can also ask in a hotel, for example, if you can just use the shower, or also like public um infrastructure or schools or something like that. If you are not shy, you can ask like anywhere, and I think it's not too hard to find a place where you can shower. And the same with places to sleep. If you are not shy enough and if you want to, you can get invited basically every night, I guess, if you ask. People are very open and very friendly and very helpful usually.
Like, people might invite you to spend the night in their yard or something or on their property. Has that ever happened?
Yeah, that happened a few times. And if I asked, they usually really said yes, but usually I was too shy to just ask if I could sleep in their garden or whatever. But yeah, it happened quite a few times, especially in the south of Europe. The people there are really open and really friendly. So yeah, that was really cool.
And did you use any apps or anything to find campsites, or what did you use on your route?
No, not any special things. Like I use Google Maps to find like infrastructure and restaurants and stuff, and I planned my route on a, I don't even know how the app is called. It's not so popular, like from Czech Republic, is the app. But yeah, I really didn't use any special things.
You just sort of planned out where you wanted to go in advance, or did you do it as you rode your bike, like planning the next day?
I planned like the whole thing a little bit in advance, like the capital city and the mountain. Um, yeah, because it's pretty complicated to like connect all these things. But in the end, it was kind of spontaneous, and also like every day, I didn't set myself a goal, how far I want to ride every day. I just knew that I have to like ride an average of around 200 kilometers per day in order to be back home on time for university. But in the end, I was kind of spontaneous.
Yeah, and yeah, 200 kilometers per day is pretty far. How did you feel after each day, and what was that like?
Yeah, like I'm actually in the Swiss national team in mountain running, so I think yeah, that's a big advantage. But of course, it's a struggle, especially in the beginning, because 200 kilometers is really far. It's like I don't know, 10 hours of riding straight every day. Yeah, but at some point you just get used to it, and the body yeah just gets used to it, and from there on it's possible.
Did you take days off, like breaks to relax sometimes?
Yeah, in total, had 2 days without riding. But yeah, like no real rest days because in the end I was just too curious. Also, like I always wanted to go further and explore new places like every day, and yeah, I just pushed through it.
That's pretty intense to do the 10 hours for it was 10 months, right?
Yeah, no, in the end it was 7 months, because I was faster than expected, but yeah, it was really intense, like, and also like so many new places, and like every evening you have to find a spot where you can sleep and everything. So yeah, in the end it was super intense.
Did you find people along the way that were also bike packing? Like, did you find friends when you were doing this?
Yeah, I met a few cyclists, but the thing is that I was riding like all winter, and in winter you don't meet too many cyclists on the road, but especially in summer and in certain countries where it's a popular thing, you definitely meet other people, or also at restaurants, or yeah, like this, you definitely meet other people, but it's like always very like short term. So yeah, you meet them and you enjoy their company for 1 or 2 hours, and then you never see them again. And that's something like hard and also very beautiful and very interesting.
Yeah. What do you think, some of the pros and cons of bike packing are? Like, I think we talked about a lot of the pros, but what are some of the cons or a mixture of the two?
The cons are definitely that it's like really hard. For the body also you have to like work really hard to get from one point to another. That's definitely easier by car. And yeah, also the thing with sleeping, it's much easier to sleep in the car, I think, than just in your sleeping bag somewhere. Um, But yeah, in the end, I guess it's a nicer feeling if you travel all these places on your own muscle power. Um, but yeah, it's much harder in general, much more uncomfortable than traveling by car in a van or whatever.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier it's popular in Europe. Why do you think that it's popular over there? I know some people do it here in the States, but, why do you think it's more popular in Europe?
I think that's because the things are, it's much more dense, and it's much easier to ride by bicycle from one city to another, for example, and the distances between things are much shorter than in the US, I guess. And like the landscape also is much more different. Um, yeah, on a shorter, like the landscape changes every, I don't know, kilometers, and in the US you probably have almost weeks with the same landscape if you travel by bicycle, and it might get boring.
Yep,
But
that's
yeah,
very
but I would love to travel the US by bicycle as well. I was also thinking about that.
Yeah, there's some great routes in the States, maybe a little shorter,
Yeah.
so you don't have to ride through such endless, boring terrain, but there's some good spots in the US, I think, so
Yeah, I
that's
think so
great.
too.
Yeah, so what are some of your favorite, like, stories from your trip that you can think of off the top of your head, like some fun things that happened to you?
Yeah, I once got arrested, for example, at the border to Belarus because the highest mountain of Lituva is like really close to the border to Belarus, and I just wanted to see like the border because like it has something, yeah, I don't know, something magical, not especially in a positive way, but whatever. I just wanted to see the border of Belarus, and I somehow got too close, and in the end I got arrested, but the people there only spoke Russian and didn't speak English, so it was like really hard to communicate with them, and I didn't really know what was going on. But yeah, in the end, I was just there for like a few hours, and then I had to sign something, and I could leave again. But it was kind of scary. Yeah, and then was the dog bite, for example, or yeah, but there were some like tons of people that were really friendly and like friendships, and yeah, in the end, it's just such a cool thing. Also, to travel alone, I think you can learn so many things about yourself. Yeah.
What was it like coming back from the bike trip? Was that a hard adjustment?
Yeah, of course. Like there were times where I really just wanted to get back home because it's just like super hard, and also like with sleeping outside every night. Yeah, at some point you just have enough of it. But when I was really close to be back home, I felt like I could live like this forever because it's just so cool, and yeah, you just feel so free. Um, but yeah, I mean, I was alone for a pretty long time. But in the end, it was like 200 days, and I think in this period of time, you don't. I mean, I think you change as a person, but you are not like completely like not able anymore to find your place again in your environment. But yeah, it was definitely a big change. Also, like now university where you have to go there every day again and have people telling you what to do and everything. But change is also something I like, and I think what makes life interesting.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was an adjustment to be back in a house again and you have all these amazing amenities, right there at your fingertips.
Yeah, a shower and fridge and everything, but that's definitely a positive adjustment.
That's something that van lifers deal with as well, is not having, amenities on the road, and you look forward to a place you can
Yeah.
go to get a hot shower and then, all that stuff, so how do you think that you changed along the way, like, changes in yourself?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's something like really valuable if you travel alone, maybe especially at this age, like I'm 19 years old. Um, yeah, but I think it's hard to realize it yourself, how you changed and what exactly did change. But I think, yeah, I'm like really grateful for everything. And I also have a like really different point of view now, like because I met so many people from different cultures and yeah, that are just having such a different life from what I know. I'm from Switzerland, but yeah, I think I definitely did change as a person, but just in a positive way, I guess.
Good. What do you think you're going to do next when it comes to minimalistic lifestyle, or what kind of trips do you have planned?
Yeah, like as I said, right now I'm studying at university, so like my time is a bit limited right now, but I'm going to the mountains. I mean, I live basically in the mountains, like I'm doing stuff there like every day. But just like some shorter trips, sometimes also like camping somewhere in the mountains for one night. But yeah, I can definitely imagine like doing something bigger again in a similar style because I really liked this thing with the highest mountain and the capital city. So another continent would be really interesting, or yeah, something like that. Or also van life, like traveling by car, is something I really want to do, or want to try out someday. So yeah, there are definitely many ideas.
Cool. And what advice do you have if anyone wants to try backpacking and bike packing in Europe? What should they start with?
Yeah, I think it's important not just for bikepacking, but also for van life or backpacking or whatever, like to just start and be brave enough to just try it, and yeah, that it's okay to know that it's okay to fail. Um, but yeah, that's just important to go out there and try something, and yeah, just have a good time.
So did you post your route online anywhere if people wanted to look at a map of where you went?
Yeah, I was pretty active on Instagram, and there are pretty much all the pictures and videos still there online, and I have an own website, like just my name, like Tobias point dot Rankley point ch. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, your photography on Instagram is just stunning. Did you take photography classes first, or did you just learn that on your own?
No, unfortunately not, and that's something I regret a little bit because um yeah, like I got into photography just like the past few months since I'm back, kinda. So I had a camera with me, but I didn't know too well how to use it, and that's something that yeah, that I regret a little bit. But yeah, something I want to change for next trips, definitely. But yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Do you have any other advice or anything else you'd like to share about your bike packing journey?
Hmm. No, actually not. As I said, I think it's just important to just do it and just try it and be brave enough to try it. And yeah, but
Uh,
if anyone has like other questions, they yeah, just feel free to reach out on Instagram or wherever.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely have a link to your Instagram so people can go find you. And thanks so much for coming on and talking about your adventure. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
All